I remember two girls back in the day. There was a ready-to-drink product called Bacardi Breezer.
Okay.
I don't want to advertise Bacardi, but anyway. But
not sponsored. Not sponsored. Every single name except Drink Think, which is gonna come in, not sponsored.
So, because all the bartenders and mixologists in America not allowed to practice their craft, they go around the world. So then you have Harry's New York bar in Paris, right? You understand? You've got it in Venice. You have the American bar in Savoy. Now the cocktail is starting to become an international sensation.
Gen Z are shifting away from drinks, as you said, that people today drink way less than what they used to drink. What is your approach to that as a business or as a person or consultant or whatever you want to say? All right. Good afternoon, people. That's a good afternoon in Scotland today. We are here in Glasgow. I used to say it Glasgow. But yeah, after lots of corrections, here we are. And today we are going to have a conversation with Mr. Scott Gemmell, who is one of the main guy behind the company Drink Think Ltd. Now, what does that do and everything, we are going to get to know from him. That's the thing. It's what he is into: event planning, business consultancy around spirits and mixology. All right. And they do loads of trainings around bartending and other events with regards to on-trade hospitality and dining experiences, etc. They do also consult various businesses with regards to hospitality and professional bartending training and everything, and manage brands with various kind of services as well. All of such things, right? Now, before getting into just the next part, you are streaming and listening or watching in today's menu. It's one of the podcasts with regards to food, hospitality, and culture around. Luckily, we have got an international with good budget. And this is where you will be listening to different kinds of conversations around food and hospitality. There are 4 kinds of segments, as I always say. There's careers, where we talk to professionals like himself or other kinds in hospitality, what they do, and get to know what are their experiences and how they did, apart from just being a bar staff or waiter or a manager at a restaurant. And then there is food and culture, where we explore and talk to a lot of people with different cultures and walks of life to understand what is a Kurdistan baklava and a Turkish baklava, the difference between them, such kind of things. Apart from that, you have Quarter Ke Kisse, which is one of the most funny segment of my podcast, which I like. Last episode was with Andy. You want to check that. And the last one is Business Journeys, with, again, people like him to understand who are in businesses and hospitality and how they are running, what they're doing, what have they done, and their experiences. So this will be a blend in careers and business journeys, which we want to know, as usual. And man, as I said, has got loads of things to tell. He's 46. He corrected me when I said 50. With experience, with experiences, learnings, and depth with all his experience, with all his learnings. And he has served a Punjabi langar. So, yeah. And he tells me I'm the only white guy around serving in langar. His words, not mine. And it's fun. How I love talking to elder people than me, to get to hear their stories and learn from their experiences. This will be one of it. And diving into the conversation and asking you very first to make you comfortable, how was it serving in a langar?
It was lovely.
Did you like the food?
It was gorgeous. Very nice. Thank you very much indeed. It's lovely present from you.
Yeah.
And nice to share something that's authentic from your land.
Yeah. It's one of the most famous things back in India. But you know what? Like, what I feel, if international people are watching me, people, when they see me and they hear that I'm from India, they go like, oh, this or that, and I'm like, yeah, but that's Punjab. Yeah, that's the one thing. That's what I feel, because as I told you as we were coming, that once you cross one state's boundary, the cultures are different.
Completely.
That's
much the same in the UK.
I would say that, yeah. Now that I got to know that British and English is different. I didn't knew that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Now, since we are in Scotland and in Scottish culture and everything, what I see I live in Manchester. Piccadilly Gardens was way different 10 years ago. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know that or not.
Yeah, of course.
Take us to the beginning. How was Scotland and how did Glasgow look like in the 1980s, 70s?
Well, Glasgow was still a very, industrial. In the 80s, it still had a very industrial heart. And we still had big engineering and manufacturing base to Scotland's industry. So that was still a big part in the 80s. So you had a lot of shipbuilding, a lot more shipbuilding than maybe we have now. And certainly historically, Glasgow's Clyde, which they call the Blue Nile.
Okay.
You have the Nile, of course, in Egypt. This is the Blue Nile.
Okay.
And at one point, I think they build the majority of the world's ships here. So like that's for little Scotland, that's quite something. But there was a big shift, in the industry, if you will. So the kind of engineering fell away. So it's not as big as it is now. My dad was an engineer.
Okay.
So you have a big engineering steel factory, steel business. And I always think to myself, my dad was a real engineer, big engineering, ultrasound, heat treatment, like the lava stuff, really high grade steel. So he was a specialist of metals, an alchemist, if you will, of metals. And kind of, I suppose I realized that I'm still very similar to my dad, but I'm not an engineer. I'm a social engineer.
Well, you have the bits of engineering when you tell me about the consultancy and projects which you do.
That's right. So I see there's quite a similar parallel. My dad was a great motivator and bringing together of people, and even within his entrepreneurial engineering business, that was his forte. So when that industry kind of collapsed, which we see the remnants of today in the news, my father went into the hospitality business, and at this age, I was probably about 11 years old, and this is where I really began my journey in hospitality from that very, very young age. So this is where it really began. And so I have lots to thank. My magic is all, a lot to thank from my father.
Okay.
Self-belief and my own ability, my own entrepreneurial aspect of creating things out of nothing through my wisdom, through my mixology.
Okay.
So my father was a big impact, but that's where I first started my hospitality journey, in an old bank that was converted into a pub, club, restaurant, and hotel.
A bank was converted into pub club?
Yeah, massive bank.
What's the bank name?
The bank, well, back then, it wasn't a bank, it was like a Bank of Scotland originally. So in this building in Greenock, which is not too far down the Clyde from here.
Yeah, I saw Bank of Scotland, yeah.
Right. So Greenock's not too far down the west coast. And back then, Greenock is quite a rough town, but it's industrial heart, a lot of shipbuilding, a lot of hard men, riveters,
Okay.
So that was where I learned my kind of craft. But the bank was owned by a big hotelier back then, Stackis, Real Stackis. And my father bought the whole building, which was originally a bank. So we convert it, we renovate the club, we build a new restaurant, Italian restaurant, 500 capacity club, 150 capacity pub, football pub, neutral. Not one side or the other of Glasgow, which you have Celtic and Rangers.
I really hope Glasgow didn't lose any football matches after that.
Oh, something. No, that's all. So it was great fun. And then above that, we have, hotel rooms. So for me, really, from the ages of 11, 12 to 18, this was like my university. I see it all. Club nights, fine dining, service, these sort of things. So it really hardwired my hospitality, understanding.
Okay, so you went fully into hospitality. Yeah. You are the core hospitality people.
Absolutely. Yeah. 5 years later, I was 18 years old and running the restaurant.
Okay, that's
because
nice.
I grew up in it, so I know the business intimately. So this is why I kind of fall into the hospitality industry, because of my dad's kind of outgoing, flamboyant nature. He's also, kind of, as I said, a social engineer, albeit a great, traditional engineer in Glasgow.
I got it.
And I carry his mantra on, of self-belief. And
I have this one debate going, not debate, but counter going on, where I personally feel that if you are more on the floor, you will understand better rather than going into a university with regards to hospitality. Well, that's what I feel. There are various counters and loopholes to that, but examples like yours just make it fit.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Mhm.
I often recollect when I speak to students of my courses, my bartending courses. I often talk to them about a pivoting point in my life where I was at Glasgow Caledonian University, and I was in my second year in business studies. And I remember at that point I was in TGI Fridays. I was maybe 20.
TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is 25 years ago was quite the place. You know, it was quite the marvel. It was beyond what people usually got in the UK in terms of service. So we were in at probably the peak of that entire franchise, really.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was God, I've lost my point. What was I talking about?
About wow. About the learning, being on the floor, and
yeah, absolutely. So these that sort of learnings, service learnings were a big part of carrying new understandings, kind of forward when I was 18. So when I grew up, my early stages in Greenock and that whole complex of hospitality, to eventually come up to Glasgow, work in a Italian dinner dance restaurant for a year, and then find myself in TGI Fridays, which was a big sort of pivot on the kind of traditional service that the UK had experienced. So that was another big turning point. But getting to my point, I remember now, is when I remember asking myself in TGI Fridays, I realised that, I now need a certificate to learn things. So, and I realised that I was my master's was behind the bar, and that my study was the human condition. It's weird. It had this kind of like epiphany. I was like, no, this is where I'm studying. I'm studying right here behind the bar.
Yeah, true.
I'm studying what people's needs are, what social needs, how they react to my body language,
how
much water I serve them, all of these different things.
How if someone is tired, what kind of gin would he like to have?
Correct. So you're kind of seeing beyond the pale of physicality. You're seeing the emotional needs of the person. You're seeing a lot of things. So we start to become a very good reader and observer of people and what their needs are. And that can be a multitude of different things even beyond food and drink. So, I realized this thing was, it was more of a science than I really understand. And that was when I started to kind of pragmatically look at, I was like, this is my master's. I'm studying my master's here. I'm not studying in the classroom. I'm studying it in real life.
Did you get to a point where,
I chose real life. I thought the profession itself was a better educator than the university.
Of course. Did you get to the point where, if you see someone entering, by the walk or the way they are talking, you can tell what he or they are gonna exactly enjoy at the bar?
Absolutely, yeah. we used to make a game of it. Yeah, like, so we're like, what's that person going to drink? So at one time, actually, in many years ago, with my cousin Andy, he was a big inspiration to me as well. We were very close in age. So when we growing up, we both inspire one another because we're competitive, football, all these things. So when we found bartending as our natural calling, we both drove one another's profession, as you do when you're young, you're thirsty to learn. But no, it was, for me, it was, God, I've lost my train of thought.
So I asked you about if the person is coming and what he's gonna drink.
Of course. Yeah. So it reminds me. Yeah. So I go off on tangents. So I often trip myself up. But yeah, I remember two girls back in the day. There was a ready-to-drink product called Bacardi Breezer. Okay. I don't want to advertise Bacardi, but anyway. But
not sponsored. Not sponsored. Every single name except Drink Think, which is gonna come in, not sponsored.
Let's call them breezers. Yeah. Anyway, you could kind of tell, like someone was coming in. We one time we get it right. Before they ask, we tell them what their order was. And they just kind of looked in shock as if, what is going on?
Okay.
I think it was 2 pineapple Bacardi Breezers. But there's a lot of sugar in these things, so we read between the lines. Yeah.
Nice, that's good.
Right.
So how did Glasgow shape your worldview in terms of service and everything? I'll just tell you in terms of thought process. Mumbai is, Mumbai now. So Mumbai is when you go in Mumbai, and if you dash someone, they are gonna go like, oh, sorry. But in Delhi, it's gonna be way different. If you dash someone, you're like, what do you
Right.
want?
So it's like London versus Glasgow. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Or London versus Manchester. It's the same kind of thing. So how did Glasgow shape your terms in terms of service, people, and hospitality and community?
Well, they say there's a saying in Glasgow. They say people make Glasgow, and that is, that's a very true statement, because when you come here, people are very welcoming. We're very proud of our city, and in Scotland, people in general are very proud. They want to make sure that if you visit here, you have a good time, and come across any trouble or anything like that. We actually go out our way to help people, and that is very much a Glaswegian thing. You might not get that in Edinburgh. It's like a little London, Edinburgh.
I'm from India, okay. So
right.
Edinburgh people, I love you.
That's it. Once I get, some people, they say when you go that way, you get past Livingston, you get a nosebleed. Because it's too far east. No, I'm joking. But Edinburgh's a lovely place. But Glasgow's a big industrial heart, and they say in Glasgow, if you ask someone for directions, they walk you there. Okay. And then you end up having a pint with them. So it's not just pointing.
Similar to Mumbai.
Not pointing you in the direction. Come with me, I'll take you. So it's very much a Glasgow place, a very friendly place. It's a great place. Take time to warm to the city. But once you realise, it's a very welcoming place. They say it's one of the friendliest cities in the world. So Glasgow is quite something. So, this is hospitality. Glasgow already has a hospitable nature by default, and not questioning. It's open, it welcome everybody. So this is nice, it's a nice sentiment, and that's what hospitality really is at its deepest level. So, I think there's a part of our culture is very hospitable. So I born into that mentality for sure. I also observe, I say I was studying the human condition. My guests were my teachers. I was learning about their habits. I was learning about, some of them good, some of them bad. I was learning that I had a role in that, in that delivery of service, responsibility in it almost. And in the 80s and 90s, we have quite a very, in polar opposite now, that's nearly 30 years ago. People aren't drinking as much now.
Yeah, true.
But back then, people were drinking a lot more than they are now. So Glasgow, culturally speaking, even from my youth perspective, my youth was very different to what maybe someone growing up today is. We were, our only social network was physical.
True.
It wasn't digital, like what we're doing here today.
True.
So we were like volcanoes. Today we have social engineering or on tap. You want to talk to someone on the other side of the world, just press a button. Bosh, you speaking.
True.
When we grew up, it was an analog world.
True.
So there's been a big shift. Like, if the last century was, someone's life, we going through almost like something so as drastic as a puberty, in terms of where we've been from, youth to adulthood, from analog to digital age. True. It's like, wow, the whole dynamic of social interaction has changed.
Yeah, true.
So I've been observing this, and many people my age have, observed this big change in how people interact, how people socialize. So it's we have to maneuver. The industry is changing. People are changing. People are drinking less. They're also drinking better. They're also more conscious about what they're drinking and where it comes from. All of these different dynamics. So drinking better, but drinking less. The relationship with alcohol changing. Absolutely. And this is important. So this is why as a business, we move beyond products into the dynamic of something deeper. So our mission statement historically was to help businesses, individuals, and people from all walks of life redefine their relationship with drinks. So not drinks per se, but the relationship that we have as humans with it as the most important factor. Today, our mission statement under drinkthinc.net is an evolution of that. Is what we drink, we become. What we think manifests. Only breathing matters more. So it's quite a strong statement because we believe wholeheartedly that, what we do and what we imbibe from a drinking perspective actually comes second to breathing. You'll be lucky to last a week without drinks. A few minutes without breath, right?
True.
So this is what we understand, and that's universal for everyone. So drinks is a universal language. It's how we connect. It's how we share. It's how we relate to one another. So this is why we love this industry, because it's the ebb and flow of life we in the midst of.
Since you talked about our generation, our generation, as like the early 2000 people who are born, right? So a story not sponsored by Coke, but just for the reference of story. So Coke, you might know this, Coke, what it did was they came up with Coke Zero. And after that they stopped the original Coke and they just kept going on with the Coke Zero
with the artificial sweeteners.
No. So Coke is normal Coke, Coca-Cola, and they came up with Coke Zero to cater to that kind of audience. And they stopped Coca-Cola, major one, and there was this big outrage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
you know this.
I remember this. They changed the recipe.
Big outrage, and then they were called out. Why did you stop the original one? Even though Coke Zero's audience was increasing, they still wanted Coke to be
the original.
Yeah. And so Coke eventually had to give in to that demand and bring Coke back.
Do you know, it's very funny because, do you know, Scotland was the only country in the world that outsold Coca-Cola with Iron Brew. Every country in the world sell Coca-Cola. It was the biggest soda in the market. Not in Scotland. Iron Brew was always the biggest.
Okay.
So, and they also do something similar. They change the recipe and people go crazy. But, you know, that said, I always had seen these soda companies as a bit of a kind of hidden anomaly. So there was a period where we kind of started to build a consciousness into our business day-to-day thinking. And that's when we manifest these new mission statements, you know, like only breathing matters more, for example, or to help people redefine their relationship with drinking, because it goes into addiction and things of that nature. It's all about the relationship or our historical understanding. So at one point, in my journey, I start to grow a broader awareness of the importance of drinks. So we start to really use this as why we exist. It became the driving force behind our business. Why we get up in the morning. We all knew why. So the mission statement was very important for us. But that drove us into deeper research regarding the nature of drinks, sodas, industrial sugars, artificial sweeteners, and also Scotland's terrible health problems with diabetes, 1 in 4.
Because of Iron Brew?
Not Iron Brew, but just because of our relationship with sugar and juice, right? The only country in the world that calls soda juice, you know?
Okay.
So it's a bit of a problem, and we have problems. We've worst dental records in Europe, dental health. It's not nice things to talk about, but it's important we talk about them. We have 1 in 4 people in the UK, overweight, obese, 2/3 overweight. So, in large, the overconsumption of sugar, industrial sugar, is a big part of this. Okay, so we wanted to have that conversation. And we did. We kind of built that aspect in, and we tried to create experiences for young people in local community centres and colleges, local colleges, universities, and also local prisons, to help people redefine their relationship with drinks. So that include tea, coffee, also making nice juices, with pressed juices, fresh fruit, citrus, with say 1.5 teaspoons, not 9.5 teaspoons in 1 can of Coke, right? And then 5 teaspoons of salt, right? It's like there's stuff in there, right? You would never consider eating that in one sitting, but when it's in a can of cola, you do. So we started to really involve this dynamic of building a better relationship and historical understanding of drinks, as well as current. and also the body chemical aspect of it on people's bodies and mental health, physical health, their concentration span, their retention, their mood swings. All of these things have a part to play in things like sugar addiction.
That was linked to sugar addiction. All
It is caffeine, sugar. The problem isn't the juice per se. It's not. It's like there's no problem in one can of juice or a couple of cans of juice, maybe a day. Even two would probably be too much, even by the World Health Organization's guidelines, right? To give you an idea of how out of sync the whole world's addiction is to a certain product. But it's the extremity, it's the amount. So it's like, it can be liters. You can have even kids 16, 17 years old and 3-4 liters of iron brew a day. They have to drink it to get back to sleep, or they start to have panic attacks, things like this.
So it happened because of that?
Yeah, because of, addiction to sugar.
Okay.
Right? So I moved me into a different world, and, not that I was against sugar or against alcohol or against any of this. I was trying to redefine the relationship. So if you understand the relationship you have with a drink, you understand the dynamics of what is a healthy relationship with sugar and not so healthy, then you can kind of make I'm not here to police everything. It's the opposite. I'm here to inform people so they can drink better.
Okay.
And this is where Drink Think can originate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have went from running the behind the bar to running this consultancies and Drink Think and everything.
Yeah, just all kinds of.
Give me a timeline of how we start with Liquid Academy Live. Explain first in simplest terms, like a 10-year-old is listening to you. What exactly is Liquid Academy Live, and what is Drink Think, and then the Scottish Hospitality Exhibition in a timeline, and what exactly are these things which you do?
Fantastic. Okay, well, we could probably break up the timeline in terms of Liquid Academy, as Liquid Academy would be, something that was inspired in 2010. So, and we have that is still ongoing. However, we do not have our academy now. COVID was cruel to the hospitality business, and so 5 years ago we closed the academy, but we still keep it as a live show. So that means we do a training road shows. We can,
training award shows.
Okay. So we take a venue over. We have 10 places. We bring in our mobile bars and we run a 3-day course. So it's like pop up. So we intend to do one probably start of November and early next year. So pre-season, when restaurants, bars, hotels are starting to staff up and pump up their staff ahead of the season.
Okay.
So this is when the Liquid Academy runs, and and it's now a kind of remote pop-up. So we can do that as a specific thing, the Liquid Academy for a hotel in the middle of the northern tip of Scotland, like we do not so long ago for the likes of Donald Trump and Serene Wood. And just a couple of years ago, we helped Andy Murray set up his new investment in the Cromlix, the famous tennis player.
So with the kinds of Liquid Academy thing which you did.
That's
so
right.
It's like
so our course material, it's called, the Modern Professional Bartender Certificate, MPB.
So you did this for these people?
Yeah, like, some of, we still to this day.
Okay. But, so you did it with Andy Murray's, like...
He's new, his 5-star hotel.
Okay.
Like
so you trained it with the help of the Liquid.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it. So Liquid Academy is almost like our training system.
Okay.
Drink Think is like the the informative platform that allows people to access what we do, some of the products we harbor, and some of the messages that we're doing. So it's kind of two dynamics. And with the Scottish...
So what's the major difference between Liquid Academy Live and Drink Think? Like how are these different?
The Liquid Academy is like a show that we run now, and also a pop-up course. And Drink Think is a bit more kind of development in terms of business to business, or access point for the consumer.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? So it's like Drink Think, we do the thinking, you do the drinking, and it's a kind of web hub. So
it's a consultancy.
Drink Think, yeah. More so that at bespoke level.
What are you doing in that consultancy exactly?
Wow, we have some really interesting developments in that side over the past 5 years, because we expand into Europe, into Spain, and so it gives us a footprint both here in Glasgow and also primarily in the south coast region of Spain. So that from Gibraltar really down to sort of Malaga is open territory for us. So there we do a variety of things. We're doing exactly what we're doing here in designing menus for top operators. We did last year. We do a polo restaurant. So it's like a canchador, like lovely deep meats, Argentinian grill. But you sit and you eat your steak, fillet steak, whilst looking and watching on the polo. So a lovely experience. That was a nice thing that we do there. And we also...
So what is this you said, sorry?
It's a restaurant that we do in the south coast
Atlantic
of Spain.
Bar Grill.
No, that's in London.
Okay.
Last year we do a place called Cancha Dos, which is in the south coast.
Okay.
So very similar to what we do.
South coast of Spain, right?
South coast of Spain, that's right, said Raj. So that's, another example of kind of what we've been doing here historically, but so actually now doing in the south of Spain. So designing menus, training staff.
Okay, there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're doing that also in Gibraltar. And so it's a bit of a mix again, but we also do a lot of private clients. So very, very, very wealthy clients that love top, service from a butler perspective.
A very, very simplified breakdown, okay? If I have whatever money you typically charge your clients and I want you to make a thing or like something, a design, a menu of cocktails for myself in any region possible. Your choice of region, your choice of money, and how would you prepare a menu? What's your process typically? And why would you add those particular drinks or anything like that?
Of course. So today, what's interesting today is people are very specific. They have their own ideas on drinks, which is good. Maybe 5-10 years ago, maybe 15-20 years ago, the kind of 80s lost its way from an alchemistry perspective, from a mixology perspective. It became big colours, lots of sugar. So in the 90s, what happened is the industry reconnected with history and brought the classic cocktail and the foundations of great godfather bartenders like Jerry Thomas back to the forefront of industry. So that was helped in a way by companies like Diageo, Maxim, who are big monolithic businesses. But they realized that they needed people like us, professional bartenders, to help personify their brands. And in a weird way, the industry went through a revolution and realized the importance of the profession again.
What profession? Bartending?
Professional bartending.
Okay.
So the industry was behind the bartender, and it realized that it needed the bartender to be the purveyor of its great spirits. Now that was good because it reconnected people with classic cocktail, with history, with a craft that was probably better in the late 1800s than it was in the early 1980s or late 1980s even. But in the 90s, there was a big shift towards using the bartender, and we caught that wave. So I was in the right place at the right time. We travel all over the world doing shows, from Vegas.
The Liquid Academy shows.
From Vegas to Hong Kong to Taipei. We've been all over the world doing this. New Orleans, Spain, France, all over. So a very exciting kind of dynamic to be in, a big shift in a weird way of people's perception of bartenders as a craft. So, but it wasn't really revered as something quite unique. Professional bartending back then, the chef had more sway, if you will. We see it all the TV chefs, so they were the kind of the forefront of things. But the bartenders start to parallel with that dynamic, and they start to realize actually, food and drinks together is actually how we really create this experience. We can't do one without the other, and in fact, the chemistry of two is how we create experiences that all rise to an apex and a crescendo, just like a symphony. So we need one another.
Okay.
The food and drinks dynamic, it's actually, we're related. We're one of the same thing.
So you have
drinks
got
is
chefs,
just another form of food.
So you have got chefs as well working alongside you.
I work with so many great chefs. Because the chef got something to teach me. More about my understanding of drinks. As I said before, is they're one of the same thing. Drink is food, and when understood well and used in the correct manner, here to aid digestion or prime your digestive system for food or complement and clean your palate before you have something very delicate and that needs a clean palate to really enjoy the complexity of something light and maybe herbaceous like white fish or whatever it may be. You know, the drink, there's a reason for it, and when we understand these reasons, we tap into something deeper than intoxication. It's something that we're there to complement, you know, rather than 10 cocktails in one night. You have 2 special cocktails. Enjoy, you know, it's more about the enjoyment and your connection, rather, if you will. But that's really why I like to work with chefs, because they teach me so much more. There's so many different types and styles of cuisine. So
no, I get it. This comes from where, so I am working alongside a project with regards to marketing side of it with a sommelier friend of mine.
oh, lovely.
So he is going into wine dinners. Now there is a reason why it's called wine dinners, is because, as you said, which wine is gonna go with which food is gonna be the som and the chef deciding it together. Okay, I am
Correct.
doing this particular kind of steak, ribeye for example. Ribeye is a particular kind of cut steak in England, very famous.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So what steak, if it's medium rare or whatever you wanna say, what wine is gonna go with it.
Mhm.
So these events are going like really good, and people. So when I was researching in an indirect manner, I saw a girl in a comedy club. She was one of the comics, and I was like, okay, I'm doing this. What do you think about wine dinners typically? And she was like, oh, wine dinners. What happens is, when if I go to some wine dinner, the food is shit, but the wines are really good. But somewhere if I go, the food is good and the wines are average.
Yeah, hit or miss.
We are in, this is Manchester, right? We are still finding one wine dinner where we can have good food and good wines at the same time.
Same time.
So I understand what it exactly means.
Exactly what, yeah. That in essence, we try to inspire that food connection within Scotland as a mainstay of our understanding of drinks, because we underpin food as the thing that makes cocktails make sense. So in a deeper realm beyond kind of intoxication, we're doing something different when we're connecting dots with food. So it becomes a great way to context what you're doing and why you're doing it. Have you eaten? Are you about to eat? Or what are you eating right now?
Yeah,
right?
true,
So it's
true.
3 questions, right? So we need to understand the foreground of someone's need or intentions. The most important drink we serve as bartenders, a glass of water at the right time, right?
True.
Right. So they used to call me Aquaman because I'm obsessed with people's hydration.
Okay.
But by over,
you haven't asked me water since I came though.
That's right, too true. I've been drinking coffee like water. Yeah, don't tell anyone. I do love my coffee as well. Of course, we import Jamaican Blue Mountain to the EU, and also single estate tea now as of today.
Okay.
Tomorrow, my shipment arrives from Sri Lanka from Dhananjaya. Hello, Dhananjaya. So we're not just involved in intoxication of people. We're involved in both sides of it. And in fact, touching on a point earlier, sometimes we hate being coined as one thing, the cocktail people, or we're really in this drinks game to study it all and
to get the good parts out of it and in a best manner.
Correct. So for us, we're here to connect with our audience, every audience, not just one person that want to get intoxicated in porn star martinis, right? And that's what some people want. And that's fine. But we can create a drink to work specifically with a dessert, or with a starter or main course. Sometimes a cocktail not even involved in food. It's just there to cleanse the palate before and after.
Yes, interesting question. Since you're working in this, how do men and women consume differently in terms of cocktails or drinking? What's your observation over time?
Well, you could say post Second World War into the 1930s, the cocktail became a sensation because it was a place where men and women both met.
Okay, so the bars, right?
It took a pivot, and it wasn't became this snake oil thing. It became something more revered and understood. So the chemistry within a cocktail almost played out in humanity. And this is where you get that kind of Art Deco style of drinking. In the 1930s, and that kind of liberation point where the women are coming out into the world. They're now not in the traditional sense, staying at home. They came out of the war movement, more empowered. And with that money, with that independence.
This was after 1990s, you're saying?
That's right, 1990, 1919, after the First World War.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So we're going way back.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So in terms of the relationship foundationally that people had with cocktail back in its heyday, with the Art Deco styles and the martinis and all these Savoy cocktail.
Okay.
Because we have to also remember that culture we inherited from the America because of Prohibition. So Prohibition was a period of time where we're not allowed to sell from 1919 to 1933. We're not allowed to sell alcohol.
Even you guys weren't allowed to sell?
UK was fine.
UK was fine?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So
did Americans come here to drink?
Of course, and that's why you have the American bar, a Savoy.
Okay.
Right, you got it? So because all the bartenders and mixologists in America not allowed to practice their craft, they go around the world. So then you have Harry's New York bar in Paris, right? You understand? You got it in Venice. You have the American bar in Savoy. Now the cocktail is starting to become an international sensation, right? So it's starting to become a global sensation because of Prohibition. Because they ban alcohol, people like me had to go elsewhere. Havana, for example.
Okay.
Right? So this is where you get that kind of culture, and right? Okay. So this is how the cocktail become an international sensation because of Prohibition.
Okay.
Right?
But how did men and women drink differently?
So differently.
You really lose. You are way ahead of me. That losing the train of thought.
Sorry, I'm going back 100 years to realize what we inherit today. Men and women drinking differently, very much in terms of. Then the cocktail became a place where they could meet. You know, men were a bit of kind of beer. You know, women maybe wine.
Okay.
In the 80s, very limited amounts of wine available. Then, you know, as the 90s garner weight and globalization, for good or bad, you know, is a lot of bad things. But we started to, you know, open up, you know, the supply chains of around the world. And we invite different products, ingredients. So there was a big sort of liberation of ingredients and an emancipation, if you will, of products from all around the world that became the basket of ingredients that the modern mixologist adopt. Today we have an infinite amount of ingredients. The supply chain is so mature, so developed, you know, so stable actually, you know, as well. But back then we had to be a little bit more avant-garde. You know, we didn't have access to all the ingredients now that the modern bartender does. And, you know, flavor and ingredients are something we should own like a chef. Sometimes, you know, that's really...
So since you said women went for the wines, did women like it on the sweeter side?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that fruity element.
Okay.
People, you know, that Scotland certainly loves sugar, hasn't it? You know, an affiliation with sugar. When I design drinks, I intentionally, when I do design them, I do them slightly over sweet because I know the mass market. So say, for example, we design a drinks list for a consumer brand, or we'll intentionally sweeten it over our preference because we're quite, our palate is slightly, you know, less addicted to sugar than the general consumer, yeah? Which is what we're designing the drinks for also. So we have to be sometimes mindful that we're not just doing it for us, we're doing it for someone else. You know, we almost exclude ourselves from the design process for that reason.
So what's with Scottish hospitality exhibition then?
So a Scottish hospitality exhibition is something it's also known as Scot Hot. It's something we've been supporting every few years. There's a gathering, the biggest gathering of hospitality and tourism industries, drinks and food supply chain industries every 2 years in Scotland. With the people that run Scot Hot, the Scottish Hospitality Exhibition, where the drinks industry could be in harmony with the food. Because we believe we should be in that conversation. That the great chefs of Scotland today and the great mixologists and all the organisations that represent industry should come together every 2 years so that we can all have a big voice together.
Okay.
So we really wanted to bring the hospitality and drinks industry into that umbrella. So we've worked very tirelessly for 15 years to do that. And every 2 years, we now run and curate Liquid Academy Live, which is a tie-in. We run that in the show. So they build us a big theatre, with 60, 80 people listening, bars, speakers, tastings. We're inviting people from all over the world. So it'll become a great platform for international trade, a great platform for local startup businesses, and also a place where the trade can go for new ideas, for really intelligent conversations, because the industry is changing so much. The cocktail is becoming such a household thing that they have to put it on tap now. Right?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's certain cocktails now, they just cannot handle the volume.
Seriously?
Yeah, I swear. So you have venues like hotel venues, and they have these things, they're using nitrogen and CO2 to pump the liquid through the draft system, so you can pour drinks.
Draft system, again, let me reiterate it for you. Over here in England, you have a draft, you have a literally tap. When you do the tap down, you have the beer or the drink which is connected to it down, and you can serve it at the bar over here. England mostly, or UK has mostly the major draft culture over here. Every single bar which you have draft tap. Please continue.
Yeah, you're right. So it's that same dynamic of, not having any waste as well. You've not got an empty bottle after your beer. So you're straight into the shaker, and then you're shaking and straining. So time is money, and money is time in the industry.
So you did that. You guys have actually made taps for...
We've done tapped cocktails before, and we often do batch drinks that are just gravity fed in 5 and 10 litre and 8 litre dispensers. So cocktails are in large quantity challenging. But for Liquid Academy Live and what we do at the Scottish Hospitality Exhibition, it's kind of bigger than us. It's about industry coming together to represent itself and also help us navigate the future.
Okay.
Because cocktails are difficult enough.
Yeah, true.
So we need the supply chain's role is to make it maybe slightly easier without breaking the rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things, and then we are moving ahead quickly.
Okay.
But you have consulted, right? Andy Murray.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you have Graham Wood.
Graham Wood, that was a good while back up in Aberdeen, the Chester Hotel.
Okay. Tom Lewis, if I'm not wrong. Lewis Lewis.
Tom Lewis, another great chef up in Callendar Way, in Scotland, a lovely farm called Monaco Moor.
Okay, any more names you have got?
Oh goodness me! Do you know what? We've worked with Nick Nairn. Who's historically another great chef. There's so many things that we've been involved in: Whisky Live, Rumfest, the Scottish Bar Show. For us, even BBC Good Food Show is doing shows and demonstrations and interaction. So we've done really, so many great things over the years. Even Imbibe, the first 2 years of Imbibe, we host the main stage, and that show is a London bar show. In 2000, goes back to 2010.
So you had told me when we were having a prior conversation, what's this Playboy bartender, cocktail safari, and all by her. So what are these three things?
So I told you a little bit about that dynamic at the early stages of the bartending scene.
There was nothing about porn in Playboy bartenders.
No.
Please continue.
Exactly. There was a handful of different organizations back then, and we were lucky to be kind of maybe 1 or 5, 6 consultancy, groups. It was like we had 2 or 3, maybe 4 mixologists as a think tank in each of these consultancies. And back then,
so these were all consultancies.
No, back then there was you had London Bar Services, you had the Gorgeous Group, you had IP Bartenders, which is International Playboy Bartenders, you had ourselves, the LA Group, and which went on to become the Liquid Academy, and now in evolution with Drink Think, we've got that sort of lineage as well. So and then there was Aromatics. You had lots of groups of people popping up. So back then, all these organizations were we inspired one another. There was very few of us, but for the people that got it, there was these were the type of people that helped inspire one another back in the day, you know. That involved people from Manchester,
Okay.
people in London, guys down in Brighton and Bristol, you know, it was LBS.
Yeah.
And then up Edinburgh's your nomadic boys, and you know, you've got my cousin as well, locally with the, you know, the Gate and the Drinks Cabinet. So all of these people played a part in the evolution of the drink scene in the UK. And so when I look back, you know, these are some of the kind of people and businesses that, you know, I look historically back to think, God, you know, we were part of a kind of revolution in a weird way of the modern professional bartender that was garnered by the style bar revolution that we tapped into earlier, you know, regarding TGI Friday's part in playing in that modernization of management and training in UK. Had a big part to play. So all of these little
Just a quick
components,
thing. So
of
TGI
course.
Fridays was an American brand, right?
That's right.
Okay, so it came to UK, and that's where it got the management and everything settled into the UK's hospitality dynamics.
It did, because it was back then, it was at its peak, and you know, the United States really is kind of like, it was light years ahead of the UK in terms of service back then, even more so now. You know, we're more westernized now than ever. But back then it was really it was like no one had ever seen anything like it. So we were kind of part of a revolution of service. People were being trained way more than they'd historically been trained in these establishments, bars, restaurants, hotels.
What was the one of the major difference you could tell?
It was the interaction of the staff, the social awareness, the camaraderie, the teamwork, the motivational structures within that business.
Okay, so
Were
the
very
systems.
advanced.
Okay, so TGI Fridays gave hospitality the systems in the UK.
Well, it planted a lot of seeds that went to bloom in other areas.
Okay.
So people that were trained in that system took that knowledge and rebranded it and modernized the style bar. So from them deep operational and understandings on motivational aspects of running a good business, motivating people to be great in service, to care about the staff, to care about the guests. This was a new dynamic, and also the very theatrical side of letting your own personality shine, and you know, throwing things about, and you know, so it was very flamboyant. It was an extremity of service, but it teaches you something big about what service can be.
Yeah.
So that's what they did a lot. You know, they had 30, 40 stores all across the UK. Many people leave TGI's eventually, grow, develop, mature, own their own businesses. You know, these were guys like Living Ventures back in the day, who opened up great style bars that reinvent the bar model from the traditional bar in Scotland or UK with the ale and the beer and the wine. There was this new dynamic. It was the style bar. And that was a place where cocktails, wines, great service, great professional bartending started to really ferment and distill itself into the culture of the UK. Again, you know, we're revisiting it. It was already there.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, 100 years ago, or 100 years ago. But you ask anyone after the war, you know, like after the Second World War, whether they were drinking cocktails. No one was in the mood for drinking cocktails. Took us till the 80s to get to that place where we like actually. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right?
I understand. As I told you, this is an experience I would have to share. As I was coming from the Glasgow Central, I told him, I saw it was written on a board by the government has put it over here that this was one of the stations where many people said bye to their partners, and maybe some of them said it for the last time.
That's right.
If you there is no cocktail in this.
You know, there probably is a cocktail in some weird way that you know that celebrates these things. You know, often cocktails are part of celebrating little bits of history. You know, there was a cocktail called the 12 Miles Out, and
12 Miles of Hope.
Yeah, 12. It's called 12 Miles Out.
12 miles out.
Out. OUT. 12 miles out.
Okay.
And in America, people on board the yachts and the boats had to wait till they were 12 miles out to have a cocktail because it was illegal during Prohibition.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So this is again a part of, part of these little, understandings of history, and I would argue that fermentation and distillation is like one of the wonders of the world. These little fungi that roam about naturally are, beyond belief.
Talking about history, how was it meeting Dick Bresswell?
How would it?
Dick Bresswell.
Bradsell.
Bresswell.
So many years ago, early days.
For context, Dick Bresswell is someone who revolutionized the cocktail in the 1990s again?
80s and 90s.
Again,
80s, more 80s. And, he was kind of, he upheld the classic realm. Like other great bartenders back then, other people like Angus Winchester, great inspiration. And, you had some really great guys, great operators. Gregor de Groothe is another one, Ronnie Scott's, The Lab in London. These places were big impact on. But Dick Bradsell, I think he was an icon in the day. He invented the espresso martini, the Bramble, two modern day fantastic classics. Right.
Espresso martini is something which is a combination in London because London loves coffee and cocktails. So espresso martini is like a combination of two words.
That's right. Yeah.
Dick Bresswell's the main guy behind it.
Dick Bradsell. Yeah. So he's no longer with us, which is a shame. A lot of great bartenders no longer with us now.
Yeah, true.
Great mixologists. The industry can sometimes be cruel if we not have the right relationship with it. But these people are icons, nonetheless, and they invent phenomenal drinks. And back then, these types and styles of bar, the Atlantic Bar and Grill was just incredible. It was downstairs. It was just everything you want. A nice sweeping, narrow, marble staircase. And you get to the bottom, and you've this four-sided, dimly lit bar. You can barely see the bartender. And then you can go through a curtain, it's this blacked out curtain with a little hostess wearing a pair of flip-flops, that she shouldn't be wearing flip-flops and somewhere so like elevated, but she's wearing flip-flops.
I didn't knew that, once as I was working where I was working, I got a call. We are trained for that as well. And I got a call, hello, we wanted to book a reservation and everything. And the guy around is asking me, oh, do you have a dress code? I was like, no, sir, we don't have. I know our restaurant is a 5-star property, and that was the first time ever. Like,
have this.
I was being asked around those lines because I am so very rebellistic against it that I don't care. Exactly. I'm gonna come over there. I'm gonna have an experience. Doesn't matter if I come in shorts. I know they have their own thing, but I don't like that. Yeah,
it's nice, Anyway, that for us, it was London was kind of littered with these little dens, these little underground, like the Players Bar, like the Lab, like Ronnie Scott's. It was just out and out classics that that go way beyond us in terms of history. But London was a special place back then. It still is. But
but I'm a Manchester person.
Exactly,
no
right?
London.
All the Mancunians. But I love Manchester as well. It has such a great gritty scene. I know other great guys down that way as well that were trailblazers.
Hello, Joe. If you still want to come in. Yeah.
No, but I knew some great people. You get Jake Berger. You got he's a Leeds boy, more of a Leeds dynamic there. You've got Beaumont Myers. He was a great guy. So lots of people in that kind of realm. Manchester. We all had a part to play in this revolution of the bartender and also mixology and drinks that that is now just like it's conquered the world. To give you an idea, when we first started, Edinburgh's a very kind of forward-thinking city. There's probably 1-2 cocktail bars in Edinburgh at the very early part of where we were at. That was maybe a hotel bar that was doing cocktails, and they were maybe doing it okay. So maybe 1 or 2 cocktail bars in the whole of Edinburgh. Now every bar is a cocktail bar, right?
Absolutely.
So the cocktail has conquered the world, and that is amazing. So much so that it giving people problems.
People like you are having problems.
No, but we're the solution. Right? Okay. So if you need this, right, drinkthink.net. But it is causing problem because now we're taking like a chef, a kitchen-like dynamic complexity to drinks.
Okay, yeah, true.
So at the very start, when we started doing this, none of these operators, none of these bars they needed a stick of dynamite. They didn't need us. We needed an infrastructure, right, that could cope with the complexity of mixed drinks so that we could deliver them fast. People weren't waiting 20 minutes for their drinks.
True.
But now they're so popular that how your bar is set up is really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also,
I saw this while working at my first part-time over here. I'm not going to say where, but that I had seen this, like people getting annoyed just because their cocktails are being late.
Correct. Right. Yeah. So it's a big problem. So this is where the supply chain comes in. You know, we don't say no to ready to drink cocktails. It'll allow some operators to do cocktails that would never entertain it. You know, we now even have robots that do cocktails, right?
Yeah, true.
So, but we, you know, this will, you know, whether we like it or not, this dynamic will unfold. There'll be ready to drink cocktails, but you cannot make up for great service.
Yeah, true.
You know, with personable, informed, you know, funny.
Hopefully, it's gonna be this probably might be the only industry which might not be affected by AI, because it's the people's industry in the end.
Yeah.
By the way, you lost the train of thought. How was it meeting the interaction with Mr. Bretzel?
Oh yes, of course. We'll go back to that. We had an old-fashioned. You know, back then you could smoke in the bars. They were very kind of dark and, you know, dingy. They were proper dive bars, you know. But the Atlantic bar was just like, wow.
But you met him, right?
Yes, over the bar, and you know, very brief. But you know, we seen him mixing up espresso martinis. So that's Dick Bradsell, you know, because we're going, wow.
You saw him making espresso martini.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like watching cricket. Sachin Tendulkar playing properly in his prime, kind of thing.
So, but you know, they were almost like, you know, they were icons, these people back in the day, you know, they're almost untouchable. But it was a world where it was completely different, not completely different from today's world. It's the only time you socialize was when you go out.
Yeah.
You know, you not get it on the phone. So it was a very socially immersed culture that we grew up in. And in the physical space that we represent now is a lot more diluted. Culturally or energetically speaking, we were like volcanoes come Friday because we hadn't seen anyone. You know, we hadn't, you know, like you maybe have a conversation on the landline with your friend, you know, like Monday to Friday, you're itching to go out, you're itching to go to the club, and you're like a jack in the box.
So, you guys come from that era, right?
That's right. Right? That's the difference. Do you know what that is? That's what we knew, right?
Yeah.
So. And that was exciting. And, you know, them old traditions, we never hope they die because really there's no substitute, you know, no smartphone can substitute, you know, the hug from another woman or man, whatever it may be.
True.
It's physical, it's real contact that actually is important. We don't go insane when we meet other people. You know, when we sit alone in our own little bubbles, being fed by the AI, what we want to hear and see. This is when people go insane.
True.
So we also look at COVID and the disaster that was on people's mental health, right? Because of loneliness.
Yeah.
You know, we not often think about loneliness as a big killer.
Oh, no, it is.
But actually is one of the biggest killers, loneliness.
Yeah. As you said, now we are almost about to get done. You said that you had a movable bar, mobile bars stuff. So how did you, I don't know, as from your experience or as a consultancy, last few things to quickly address, is like, how did you go from a traditional bar to a mobile bar, and what all the elements did you add? Was it challenging internationally to how a bar should be? Because since you moved to Spain as well.
Of course. Well, our mobile bar technology is quite unique. So if you could say like our business has a left and right brain, you know, Drink Think is the creative part, the creative thinking part. And all bar hire is the functional part. So we can do all different types of bar. So we have the latest technology in bars. So the bars can be up to 18, 24 foot in length. We can brand them with graphics. So that could be for your wedding. It could be a picture of you and your wife, or it could just be nice writing or design graphic. Or you can engage the spectrum of light. So any color you want, we can change the bar fronts. or we can do it in harmony with the music, or you can have it changing. So it's nice that we have this kind of mood. You can have a million different colours emanating from the bar. So it makes it a nice focus of the bar, gives you control of the ambience, the lighting. All these things actually have a big impact. Light has an impact on our feeling.
True,
Right.
absolutely.
So there's a reason we have a rich purple, for example, kind of lilac for our logo. Right? It's the highest state, right? It's the highest color in the dimension of the chakras.
Okay.
So we understand that color has mood, it has effect. So we play this with our mobile bars. We understand ambience, even how bright the lights are. The color has an impact on the room, and in the commercial world, lighting and color plays a big part. So it can be very specific, or it can just be whatever color you want, or it can be in harmony with the sound and the music. So our mobile bars are great, and they're scalable, which is lovely. So that's nice. And so we can do beer bar, coffee bar, wine bar, draft bar, cocktail bar. You can do any type of bar you want.
Oh, so you have taken it to that extent?
Yeah,
now.
Okay. So in whatever size you want.
Okay, that's
so
nice.
That's the other side of our business here. We have all bar hires, more of a UK-based business. We have mobile bars in Spain, but not with the same technology.
They can do it over here, though.
Of course.
Yeah.
We'll have to get you out to Spain one day.
Major question.
Yes.
Like Gen Z, or I consider myself a zillennial, so don't look at me.
Okay.
Gen Z are shifting away from drinks, as you said, that people today drink way less than what they used to drink. What is your approach to that as a business, or as a person, or consultant, or whatever you want to say?
So people are becoming a lot more health conscious. So this is nice. It's also
just a quick thing. Is one of your major base still millennials as well, or are you still are you able to cater to Gen Z as well?
Of course, yes. We cater to that. This is our study.
Okay.
We're almost, our opinion is irrelevant. We want to cater to everybody. The full dynamic. Hospitality about catering to other people's needs, not yours. So we try to cater to all dynamics. Today's millennials will still have a big part in a culture that was like, so we inherit our drinking culture from our parents.
Okay.
And we reinvent that in a weird way.
He's a millennial, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. 46, yeah?
Yeah,
so
46, okay.
We still hold on to them old habits that we inherited from our mum and dad.
Absolutely.
Today's generation is faced with a completely new social dynamic. So alcohol is not the gateway to socializing anymore.
No.
It's almost too expensive, number one. So it's been taxed beyond the realm of people's reach.
One cocktail is 16 pounds. One of the
top ones, right? Yeah. So it's an expensive hobby now. Which driving people in other directions that are probably less safe. But
sorry. Just to give you an understanding, 16 pounds, I can have one nice fulfilling dinner over here in an Indian or a restaurant. And with the same 16 pounds, you can have one cocktail in a good bar.
Exactly right. You're
Please
correct.
Continue. Yeah.
So it's an expensive hobby. And it should, and this is also what we have to understand as professional bartenders. It's 3-4 times the price of what you can pay in the supermarket for a reason. And we're that reason. So we're the reason it's that price. But also because of economy and inflation, which is another story, But it making the craft less accessible. So people drinking more quality but less maybe today because of expense. And also
that's where you guys come in, actually.
Of course, right? So this is part of it. But it's why we as a business, we like to not pigeonhole ourselves as the cocktail people. We're the people that think about drinks of all kinds. Water, wine, beer, tea, whiskey, tequila, the whole 9 yards. We're here to study it all. So we're here to learn. This is why we're importing, for Drink Think Delivered launching is the PMD Tea, single estate tea offerings. Also from Sri Lanka, from Dhananjay's estate. And also from Jamaica, from the Flamstead estate, as a single estate Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee bean.
Okay.
So, you know, we're arguably the best coffee in the world, best tea in the world.
Okay.
So for us, that's more important than almost the volume, is the educational part of someone experiencing something that's very unique.
So that's what you're doing to cater to Gen Z.
That's right. Well, we're evolving ourselves. There's another product we've imported in for 5 years into the UK. We would love to see come back. It's called Clayton's Cola Tonic, and it uses the Clayton's Cola Tonic.
Cola tonic.
And it's also a very unique non-alcoholic product.
Not sponsored. Reiterating it, not sponsored. Continue.
That's right.
Yeah, PMDT is fine.
Exactly right. But this goes back, you know, these cola tonics were originally made as a substitute to alcohol.
Okay.
And they used Kent hops to sour the mix. They used sugar, and they're using the West African kola nut as a big stimulant. So people would drink these tonics as an alternative to alcohol to pick them up. But this was originally made in London, in Battersea in London, by two physicians, two brothers. So we were, you know, 5-10 years ago, we were fascinated by these new types and styles of product that weren't about alcohol. They were about stimulus, because alcohol is a depressant. So if we've been proper alchemists, we also need stimulants.
Okay.
That's why we have a very popular espresso martini.
Okay.
It's a stimulant.
Yeah.
So alcohol, depressant, sugar's a stimulant, caffeine, stimulant. So we have to have this chemistry, because alcohol can make us tired. Different types of alcohol can pick us up. Tequila, for example, right? Have all that sunshine energy in the spirit. So it picks you up for some reason, right? So we have all of these different dynamics. So we realize that we have to cater for two types of styles of people. So we look at these products, you know, one of the world's first alternatives to alcohol, you know, within the Claytons, or, you know, these fantastic teas, and we're also looking at lovely waters. So we have to understand that people like to enjoy drinks, but they also looking after themselves now. So people also enjoying cocktails, but they're also waking up at 6 a.m. and doing yoga.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So, and that's good. That's good that people are more healthy.
So you're going ahead with tea and coffee and mocktails. That's one thing.
Yes.
And on the other hand, you are making the current particular drinks which are there of more quality.
That's right.
Okay. One addition in this, Gen Z, just like what I know, Gen Z also likes a bit of personalization. And I have been, yes, I have been watching this in my behaviors while I interact with a lot of products around.
What an experience with the
yeah, like my own personal touch kind of thing. So if I am using, even if this pen, I'm going to use it in this manner, or I'm going to put something on top of that which signifies it's mine. So I'm going to make it a bit personalized, even though it's the same pen which you might use, but I'm going to personalize it for myself. So this is what is going on the other hand, for the Gen Z preference as well. That's where you see the more cocktail thing coming up, because I have got a lot of friends who are into this cocktail thing and they're doing it on their own. So if they want an old fashioned, could you please tell the recipe of old fashioned? I forgot.
Of course, yes. You have water, which is the dilution. This is why you stir it. You have orange bitters, or orange oil from the orange rind. You have sugar, and you have aromatic bitters with bourbon.
Okay.
So them all together, stirred down.
Okay.
For maybe 10 to 12 minutes.
Yes. So this is old fashioned. Now, people are going ahead with maybe adding matcha to, not matcha. Matcha is just an example. Matcha to it, or whatever they want to add with that. That's there.
You've actually got it. People are a lot more informed today. So Gen Z,
absolutely.
Well, COVID had a big impact on people because they're in the house, they can't go out, so they started to follow things online, start to make their own drinks, start to become little mixologists and alchemists and chefs at home. So when we come out of COVID, the consumer was a lot more informed. They had practiced things at home that they would have never have done if a restaurant or bar was open. So they went into their own worlds. They realized that they can make these things at home to kill time and have a bit of fun. So when we come out, the consumer way more informed than they were historically.
True.
And if we look at today's generation, the young kids, they're growing up, they love the slushy flavors. They're loving the slushy machines.
Absolutely.
So like that's a kind of forerunner. Well, if they're enjoying that now, are going to be enjoying cocktails in 10 years. So I think it's still a fruitful journey for the cocktail world. I think we'll see the supply chain continue to change massively as the cocktail becomes a staple mainstream call on bars and in restaurants. We're going to see more on tap. We're going to see more ready to drink cocktails.
Absolutely.
But that means we'll also see a polarization at the other side. The people that really define themselves will define themselves in this sort of experiential, individual realm where they have something very unique that they can only get from that bar with that twist or that little tweak. So I think people want to enjoy cocktails, but they also want the experience. As you said, they want something individual. They want something to talk about. They want something to put on their Instagram.
True. We come to the end, last 4 questions. One is like, what's going on with PMDT exactly?
What's okay with PMDT?
What's going on with PMDT?
With us?
What PMDT and you guys are doing together.
So me and Dhananjaya go back.
PMDT, okay, not because Dhananjaya was here and everything. Sri Lanka Ceylon tea is very, very strong and has strong aromatic flavors with the great quality. And when that comes together with cocktails, please go ahead.
Good. So we were always had a relationship many years back. I brought Dhananjaya to the Scottish Hospitality Exhibition. So I get him on my stage to share his journey, to share his teas, because we're talking from someone of authentic nature. So I've always been interested in tea because it allows us to play with the mouth. It allows us to infuse flavors and fruits even, or bitter elements, or sour elements, or even sweet elements, even smoky elements with things like lapsang, sochong. Right? So I used to use teas a lot in order to season certain sugars and infuse them with certain flavors so that we could then bring that into the realm of the cocktail. So I always seen tea as something that could be used as a versatile ingredient that had a stable shelf life that we could bring into the realm of a cocktail. So that was my entry point with Dhananjaya was like, I love this. How can I use your ingredients to work within my mixology?
That's your job.
Right, correct, right? So we clicked, and I loved his story, great presentation, great showmanship. But we coming into a realm now where we're going to start to be advocacy for his brand in the EU. So we get our first shipment tomorrow, which is brilliant, and a wellness event where people do yoga and sound baths and things like this. I do a demonstration to 40 men and women who are doing yoga, doing a sound bath, and then they get me in the morning for Dhananjaya's tea.
So just tea.
Yeah.
No cocktails in that.
No cocktails. Okay. We actually open with Jamaican Blue Mountain. So we do a single espresso.
What's Jamaican Blue Mountain?
Jamaican Blue Mountain is the best coffee bean in the world.
Okay.
The least acidic coffee bean.
Coffee people.
Coffee, exactly. You must know the Jamaican Blue Mountain. Best climate in the world for coffee.
Okay.
Very naturally sweet. You do not need sugar. So the espresso is fantastic. And then early morning we move into the tea. And we're going to do a nice, we're going to do a nice tea, maybe green tea or chai, which I know is the same word for tea.
Yeah.
I've seen your podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we do that in the middle of the morning, and then we do a botanical lemonade, like a celery, basil.
So there is no alcohol at all in this?
No alcohol. Okay. So we're doing 3 drinks.
So it's typically
straight espresso, no milk. Okay, the Dhananjaya's tea in the middle, with presentation and telling them all about the estate, Dhananjaya, how they pick it naturally.
And the last?
The last, we do a botanical lemonade, which is, something a lot more refreshing, very little sugar. We use agave, Celtic sea salt, celery, basil.
So you're the drink fundamentalist then. You know the fundamentals up and down so that you can come up with something.
Yeah, we turn up at 8 in the morning and do drinks till 12, or we turn up at 8 at night and do drinks till 1 in the morning, It's like, so we can do morning and night.
Can you consider all of these mocktails then?
Well, people use the word mocktail or soft tail, or, mock is like, it can be a kind of a negative word. So we started calling them soft tails back in the day, right? Tails of the soft drink.
Okay.
And that's kind of where we move. Mocktails is something that people use, but to mock someone is a negative thing. Words have power, right?
Okay.
So we started to use the word soft tail as something that was a little bit different.
So all of these things which you're doing are soft tails kind of thing.
With the soda, you could argue that tea and coffee sit in their own bracket. They're their own world. It's kind of, I was saying to you earlier, it's like the mathematics of the language of the universe. Usually everyone drink a tea or coffee, right?
Okay.
So you can relate to them,
So Gen Z would be a good market to cater to, with teas and coffees mixed with some elements of mixology.
Exactly, correct. Okay. So we have to reinvent the bar. We need to celebrate the soft drink.
That's evolving for you. Ideal.
Okay. Celebrate the soft drink.
Since you're a Scottish person, Dhananjaya told me to ask this question. You don't know this question because I haven't told you it until now. Scotch whiskey has been laid down for like a good amount of time now. I will tell you one thing, but first tell me, what is the plan with the Scotch whiskey which is already laid down?
So
Scotch whiskey is what?
Scotch whiskey? Well, there's different types and styles. You have blended whiskey.
Broader definition, please.
Okay, well, you have grain whiskies, you have blended whiskies, you have single malt whiskies. So single malt would be a great parallel for someone like Dhananjaya.
No. I'm talking about what he said is like Scotch whiskey is already being laid down now.
Laid down
and the market is going like that with regards to Scotch whiskey. Yes. How is this challenge being dealt by the Scottish people?
How is it being met? Well, this is because of different markets. Japanese making whiskey now, the Indians even making good whiskey, right? So you're looking, and it's probably a little bit cheaper than ours. The Irish, they make good whiskey, but they triple distilling, so there's a lot lighter the whiskey. It's the same as our Lowland whiskey, but typically Scotch whiskey is distilled twice, and it retains a bit of its flavour.
So it's already done now, though.
But the expanding markets is putting a big pressure on whiskey itself.
True,
because it cannot supply the demand. Right, so it's not the Scottish market that financed the whiskey industry. It's the international market. We're just a small consumer of whiskey, but you go to Taiwan, you go to China.
Exactly.
Right.
This is what, when Dee was telling me about all of this, the Scotch whiskey being laid down and you can't do anything or reverse the process and everything. I was like, India is a big market for Scotch whiskey.
This is the emerging market.
Yeah.
Right? So these emerging markets present a challenge for the volume for the industry, also for the integrity of the industry. So and this is where we, for example, the supply chain is has to cater for something it almost cannot future plan for, and if it go wrong, they have problems. So we have certain problems, because supply chain wise, the money does the talking. It's like, oh God, we didn't put enough whiskey away 10, 12 years ago to supply the demand of the 12-year-old in Taiwan next year.
Exactly.
Right? So it become a challenge.
So how are you dealing with it? Yeah.
The supply chain is diversifying.
Okay.
I mean, the industry itself, will constantly maneuver and pivot to try and predict the future, and try and put enough whiskey away to supply the demand that coming in future. But it can fluctuate,
true, because
it can go the demand can double in 1 year, and they're like, what do we do?
Yeah, exactly, because the Gen Z picture and preference is coming into the picture, and if you're going to the Asian markets, you have to really play with the price properly.
That's right.
Because what I can tell from my experiences, India is a very price sensitive market.
Yes.
Like proper, if now to tell you in terms of pounds, but I'm talking in terms of rupees, if you just change anything from 5 to 4 pounds, the demand can double.
Is that right?
It's that crazy
of a
market.
Sensitive to price.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we are largely overtaxed on things like alcohol, tobacco here.
Yeah.
It's almost ridiculous. It's.
So Goa would be a good destination for you guys.
Yeah, mate. Listen, my sister loved India. She's been many times. And I think it is a lot exciting time for India and for Africa right now as well. The continent is, I think is a very exciting emerging market and potential market.
True.
And it dwarfs our little markets here. So yeah, hopefully more of that in the future, Sidraj.
In all of this, what's your two last things? What's your one principle which you hold on to?
My one principle. Oh my goodness, that is a big one. You kept that one in the dark. my one principle is, I think my one principle in life is, is to be present, to be honest, and to be aware of things outside you. This to me, hospitality, like the study of life, it's like consciousness. How conscious are you? So the one principle for me is great hospitality is about how conscious you are
about your surroundings,
about you, about your surroundings, about reading the room. It's the eternal question. You could go to a priest or a Buddha and they give you the same answer, but this is or a guru or whatever you want, right? But in essence, it's still what we study in life. So this is the study for me. This is much the same as this is what these people are doing, and in a weird way, this is what attracted me to this industry, because I'm studying something that real people, and that's the principle that I would that would be the holding principle is I'm also studying myself through other people.
Okay. One, just quick, finish it like in 1 or 2 lines. What's the one advice you would give to your younger self?
Oh goodness. the advice I'd give to my younger self.
One advice.
Oh goodness me, it's got to be my ambition was as big as my ego.
Okay.
And and losing that was one of the best things that you can you can go through. Okay. So I think great hospitality, but not being too attached to yourself, and realizing that the real boss is actually the people in front of you. You're not the boss. You're the kind of the sharp observer of said equation.
Okay.
You're the.
But you're talking from a hospitality perspective, and that advice is again from a hospitality perspective.
The less it becomes about you, the better the guest has experience. Okay. Same as great training.
Okay.
You're not there to be the solution. As a trainer, you're there to make the people the solution.
Yeah. So that they don't need you.
So the more I discount myself, even when I'm designing drinks, or even when I'm training a hotel, with events, sometimes they need you to step up. Yeah. So you're the person who lead the ship or steer the boat of event enjoyment or experience. But it's often the opposite way. You're training people to be self-sufficient rather than to need you. You can do it in a different way. You can make people, say a couple on a first date, for example, you can make them feel at home at your bar, or you can strike a conversation that give them common ground to speak about, so that they don't have awkward silence.
Oh yeah.
So that's your job done.
Yeah.
So you don't need to fill the silence. Yeah. You give them something to talk about that keep them both entertained, and then you're like, "It's okay, they're happy now," and you move on.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So the less of me, the better. The more of my guests and my clients' needs, the better I am.
No problem. It was nice talking to you, getting to know a bit of Scotland side from the 1980s.
Welcome to Glasgow. This is the first day of sunshine this year.
Yeah. Really?
No.
Okay. No, then I would say I'm so lucky for the sun, because I love it. I get it why the British people came to India, man. You don't have sun.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think you bring it with your spice. That's why we love it so much. The sunshine inside.
Right. No problem. Thank you very much for coming in, sharing, and your time.
Lovely, Sid Raj. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much. I hope you
care, folks.
enjoyed the conversation. We have a Scottish man over here telling things, and hopefully a lot more people to come in. It was great talking. Thank you very much again, and hope you enjoyed the conversation. That's it for this one, and I'll see you soon in another one. Thank you. That's a wrap.
Well done, brother. Well played.